Hi, I'm David Dobson, and welcome to Conversations. Today, my guest is Susan Mide Kiss. We will be discussing how Canadian public institutions can deepen community engagement through Indigenous voice practices. Susan is Vice President of Community Engagement at the University of the Fraser Valley. Susan holds a Master of Arts in Leadership from Royal Road University and pursuing a Doctor of Social Sciences degree from the same university. It's a great pleasure to have you with me today, Susan.
Thank you, David. Thank you for welcoming me. I really appreciate it. I really want to recognize and honor that the University of the Fraser Valley and myself, we are located, and of course you, David, we are located on the traditional territories of the Halkomelem-speaking Stalo peoples. And as a settler and as a Westerner on this land, I express my gratitude and respect for the honor of living, working, and playing in Stalo Tumuk.
To start off, Susan, can you please explain what community engagement in a good way is?
Thank you. It's a really important question. So I think there's two pieces to the answer. One is what is community engagement and sort of a working definition of that, and recognizing that I'm still new to the University of the Fraser Valley, although I'm from the Fraser Valley originally. So it's a working definition right now. And then I'd love to share some perspectives on what working in a good way with community engagement. And there's different definitions and different terminology that different institutions and pockets within institutions and our many communities might think of when they consider community engagement. And so the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching in the United States has a Carnegie classification for community engagement. And a Canadian pilot cohort was brought together about 3.5 years ago to explore community engagement in our own Canadian sociocultural context. And so the working definition that this learning community and a community of colleagues and practitioners and leaders in community engagement within the post-secondary sector, the working definition that we have been thinking of and working through is the collaboration between post-secondary institutions and their larger communities, local, regional, national, and global, for the mutually beneficial exchange of knowledge and resources in a context of reciprocity and partnership. And there's some really key terms and principles within that definition: partnership, reciprocity, mutual benefit. And we're really, at University of the Fraser Valley, we're really trying to shift our thinking to be more inclusive and to be more thoughtful about how we engage with community in a co-creative and reciprocal manner. And so that is some of the thinking that has brought me to the University of the Fraser Valley, and they've really prioritized community engagement. Of course, I'm grateful to have this role, and it's quite a privilege to work with this university community and the many communities that we serve and lead. Working in a good way is another key principle that has transformed my thinking as a human being and as a leader in community engagement and as a Canadian. And so working in a good way speaks to the commitment to working with community. And again, exploring what does mutual benefit look like to different communities, and putting communities' interests often before our own, and listening and going through a process of discovery and listening. And so I was really blessed to start working in a good way and to understand what that means when I worked at the University of Calgary for the past 15 years. And I was very fortunate to be welcomed into a journey to co-create University of Calgary's indigenous strategy, Itapato. And my elder, Reg Croshoe and Rose Croshoe, helped me understand what working in a good way means as we work with indigenous communities and other equity deserving communities. And to me, it just speaks to the authentic commitment to listening and learning and unlearning as we support each other in this world.
Why is community engagement an important priority for Canadian post-secondary institutions?
Another great question, David. Thank you. Universities and post-secondary institutions exist to enrich the world through teaching and learning and research and bringing so many diverse stakeholders and student communities and the faculty and the staff together. And we work together to advance knowledge and to serve our many communities. And as centers of learning and discovery, universities and post-secondary institutions collaborate, and we inspire and support our students early in their journey as they go into the professional world. They can serve as ambassadors and agents of change. And so bringing our very diverse community together and helping to inform and raise awareness to many critical issues in our society, I think that is the call to action for post-secondary institutions in Canada and beyond.
You are UFV's Vice President of Community Engagement. Please tell us about your role and what it entails.
I've just been so fortunate to be welcomed with such open arms to the University of the Fraser Valley. And so I started my role the third week of September. It's been a dynamic time of learning and unlearning for me. I've returned home to the Fraser Valley where I grew up, but I've returned after 20 years living in Southern Alberta and working with many communities in Treaty 7 territory. And so I come back to the Fraser Valley into this really exciting role that I'm just so privileged to have this opportunity, and I recognize that, and I recognize and honor the journey that brought me here. The community engagement portfolio is coming together. So my many teams within the community engagement portfolio include communications and marketing, also alumni relations and engagement. And our fund development team also works so closely with their community. A new unit within the community engagement portfolio is a community programming and experience unit. And I think that is a really important distinction. We are co-creating programming with our university community, but also with our many community partners and community organizations throughout the Fraser Valley. We're trying to enhance that commitment to co-creation and collaboration, and we're reimagining some of the ways in which we can work together.
Could you please share with us a little bit about your doctoral research?
Thank you for asking. It's obviously taking quite a bit of my evening time and weekend time right now, but I'm thrilled to say in about 2 weeks I will have wrapped up all my coursework. So it's been a really intense but beautiful journey. And honestly, my doctoral journey was inspired when I was working at the University of Calgary and with so many communities in Southern Alberta, where I was really struck by an insight that so many post-secondary institutions across the country were exploring how to work in a more authentic and reciprocal way with Indigenous communities. And there's some really important principles and practices that we must honor when we work with Indigenous and other equity-deserving communities. But often post-secondaries look at that as one way of engagement, and they don't necessarily see that that can also help deepen engagement and relationships with all communities. And so that is where my first thought to apply to the doctoral program at Royal Roads University. So the social sciences program at Royal Roads. And so my original proposal was, how can public institutions, including post-secondary institutions, deepen engagement with all communities through recognizing and understanding Indigenous wise practices and principles. And that led me down a path over the last year or so as I've explored this question through many courses and through incredible conversations and learnings with my fellow doctoral colleagues and the incredible professors and teachers at Royal Roads University.
What do you hope to learn from your research study?
So I am researching through practice. I have had such an incredible and rewarding and fulfilling journey throughout my career that I want to lean on that, and I want to uncover some of the knowledge and experiences that I've been so fortunate to have. And so researching through practice, my work through 3 or 4 different cases that I've been welcomed to support and to advance, both at University of Calgary and now at the University of the Fraser Valley, but also through my work with other post-secondary institutions and many community organizations throughout my career, but also in my work now as a Vice President Community Engagement at UFB. So research through practice, focusing on 3 or 4 cases where I have learned to work in a good way. And I've been able to put into practice the learnings and the importance of indigenous wise practices. And I've been able to witness and experience the transformational nature of these practices as we engage with all communities.
Finally, do you have advice for community engagement workers and scholars?
Oh, wow. So many tips that I've learned along the way. I think number 1 is large organizations, small organizations, working with communities. We hold a lot of knowledge. Universities and post-secondary institutions hold a lot of knowledge. We have an incredible, diverse community that we are so fortunate to work with every day. But we also need to listen. And while we hold so much knowledge, and these are learning institutions, we also need to listen. Listen to our community. Listen to our community partners. Recognize that their needs, their interests, the complex issues that they're wrestling with will help inform our approach as we engage with community. And for me, those indigenous wise practices, listening, a commitment to reciprocity, collaboration, co-creation, understanding how to be inclusive and equitable in our approach, slowing down and thinking about those principles really has helped me appreciate where a community is coming from and what their needs might be. That then informs me and my team and the university and my colleagues as we then approach how we can be a support and how we can work with, not for, our communities.
Thank you for your time, Susan. Best wishes on your work and doctoral studies.
Thank you, David. It's been a pleasure to spend some time with you this morning.